It's the Security Weekly News, and it is episode 434. We're back after a break, although you got some cool old shows to watch with me and Russ talking about acronyms, I think. But welcome to the week of 1 December 2024. You know, it's the holiday season. If you're in the U.S., I hope you had a happy holiday and didn't overindulge unless you were going for that, in which case, well, I hope you overindulged the hell out of it. Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, you have to be careful what you wish people now, because you say, well, I hope you didn't overindulge. And they're like, oh, I was trying to see how many bottles of wild turkey I could drink in one day, you know, and you're like, oh, well, I hope you achieved that then, and you're still alive. We've got ISIS, Enron, Tor, scams, Wintermute, Zabbix, Josh Marpet, and more on the Security Weekly News.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
It's the show that keeps you up to date on the latest security news twice a week. Your trusted source for accurate security information and expert analysis. It's time for the Security Weekly News.
ThreatLocker implements a least privileged approach to cybersecurity, blocking every executable unless specifically authorized by your team. This methodology mitigates ransomware, supply chain attacks, zero-day exploits, and ensures 24/7, 365.25 protection for your organization. To learn more about how ThreatLocker can help prevent known and unknown threats in your digital environment, safeguard your data and operations from threat actors, and align your organization with respected compliance frameworks, visit securityweekly.com/ThreatLocker.
All right, from exile on the island of Elba, we're back, and it's the Security Weekly News. I'm Doug White. Welcome to the show. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment, or Santa, you know, that guy who lurks around people's houses in the middle of the night. Yeah, well, he works for us now, and you might wake up with a reindeer head in your bed or something like that on, you know, yeah, that kind of thing. Well, the Tor project, which is currently a collection of 143 web tunnel bridges. If you're not familiar with it, it helps people get around, well, all sorts of things, but it's kind of like a radar detector that's preventing you from being exposed to, you know, radiation. Tor bypasses censorship. Yeah, that's why. But they do help, you know, with privacy and access the dark web, all that kind of stuff. But they get you around censorship. They do. I've used it for that. Internet access restrictions, yes, and website blocking. Never had to use it for that, but I get the reason. Well, the project is calling urgently, according to this article, for new volunteers to help deploy 200 more web tunnel bridges by the end of the year to fight government censorship. They said this was mostly in response to Russia increasing censorship. Russia censoring, say it isn't so. But Russia has been on the war path to increase censorship and prevent their citizens from actually finding out what's going on, like a lot of countries we could name. But we may all need Tor pretty soon. But Tor said that while they could develop new tactics and develop workarounds to get around the censorship, that takes time, money, effort, and it takes a while. Their short-run fix is to put up more web tunnels. So these web tunnel bridges are their new approach that they introduced back in March. And basically what they do is they blend Tor traffic with regular web traffic so that it's a lot harder to detect Tor traffic in the regular data stream. And they do this by running a web server with a valid SSL cert, which makes it all look like regular old HTTPS traffic. So probably just people looking at porn, but it's not. Or it is. But the campaign that they're running now is until the 10th of March in 2025, and they're asking for volunteers to set up and maintain these new tunnels. If you set up 5 or more, you get a free T-shirt. I'm not even making that up. In order to volunteer, though, you do need a static IPv4 address, a self-hosted website, a valid certification, a valid certificate, and at least 1 terabyte a month of bandwidth. So they have some other requirements too, and they have instructions in the article if you want to get involved in Tor. South Korean police have arrested a CEO and 5 employees who manufactured over 240,000 satellite receivers and preloaded or updated ones that had already been manufactured to include distributed denial of service capabilities based on the purchaser's request. I'm like, okay, I mean, we can all ask ourselves, who was ordering 240,000 satellite receivers? Yeah, neither of the two companies was named in the court documents, but it said that both companies have been around at least since 2017. The purchaser requested this modification to the receivers in November of 2018, claiming that the capability was necessary in order to counter the attacks of another competing entity. So I guess this is sort of the hack back thing. Like somebody's bugging us in our market, so we're going to run distributed denial of services off of our customers' satellite receivers and attack them. I mean, it didn't really say what they were planning to do, but it said they needed these to counter the attacks. The company buying the satellite receivers was not in South Korea, and the data about the company was provided by Interpol. So that might imply where they might be located. The company's assets are in the process of being seized by the South Korean government, who declared martial law this morning, by the way, with some kind of thing about, the opposition party said we were bad people, and so we've got to have martial law. And get ready for all this. We're all going to get to experience these fun things. But the operators who bought the equipment have not been apprehended at this time, and the South Korean police are seeking international cooperation to track and apprehend them. So I guess if you know who they are, they might give you a payout or something. So, but I would get the money first, especially with that whole martial law thing. I mean, that can work kind of tricky. A new phishing campaign uses corrupted MS Office documents and archive files to avoid being detected, according to any.run. The files, since they are corrupted, don't set off alarms or launch sandbox environments because they're corrupted. I mean, personally, it seems to me like alarms should go off immediately if corrupted files are being received, but nope. And so you say, well, so what damage could a corrupted file do anyway? Well, guess what? MS Word and WinRAR automatically repair corrupted files when they are attempted to be executed on your system. So they corrupt it, you get it, it goes right on through, and you say, wow, this corrupted file. You don't know it's corrupted, though. You're just clicking on that file that says, want to see me naked? And you click it, and then it pops open, and Word says, hey, I'll fix that for you. And then you got a problem. This campaign's been running since August and uses QR codes in the documents. And of course, if you scan the QR code and click the link, it takes you to a phishing site, which looks like a Microsoft account login. And then, of course, your credentials. I mean, you know how many times a week you get asked to log into Microsoft? Yeah, I mean, I know we get that all the time because they use single sign-on at one of the places I work. And so you get asked to log into Microsoft so often for so many different things that you kind of get numb to it, and you just automatically do it. Yeah, they use multi-factor, so it's not a problem. But the documents were mostly attached to emails which look like notices from HR regarding the victim's salary or benefits, a guaranteed way to, your salary's being cut. Click here to find out more. Yeah. So it's pretty clever, actually, because a lot of things can automatically repair damaged files on the fly and maybe not even notify you that they're repairing them. And, unlike the old days where you had to get in the binary and try to fix the damage by hand and try to guess what it was supposed to be and what was the file header and all that kind of stuff, this means a bad file can slide right on through the detectors and be opened. So not sure, you'd think they would detect this, but I guess not. They probably will in the future, but don't forget to remind all your people, though. The point of this story is to remind all your people, once again, that including family members, because this stuff not just targeting corporate people, but scams abound, and opening any unsolicited files, even if they're about your paycheck, is probably a bad idea. Teach them to be paranoid a lot. Now, in that same light, I couldn't resist this story. So this one was about a scam. And this woman gets a call with a caller ID that shows Rockville Police Department, and which is in Maryland, if you aren't familiar with Maryland. I would probably answer that call. I mean, if I see, police, I know, I'm just saying, hey, come scam me. But if I see, I've been supporting police for a long, long time. So, if I get a call I would be like Rockville. But then again, I do a lot of presentations and speeches and shows, and sometimes people call you. The caller told her to hang on for the head of the Maryland police force. Hold, please. And then they told her that her social security number had been flagged in a crime and that she needed to clear things up or she was going to be the person charged. But, you seem like a fine, upstanding citizen, so we really want to help here. Now, I would have been out right there. I mean, the minute they tell me something like, I'm like, okay, come with a warrant. Yeah, charge me then. I'd like a lawyer, because I've watched television shows about criminal behavior. But I would have been out, but she hung in there. I mean, I get it. She freaks out. She's like, what? Oh no. And of course, this is the cornerstone of every scam since the dawn of time. Some Greek guys on a pier, back in the dark ages were, scamming soldiers by going, you know what? And this one uses, of course, vanity along with anger, which are two great ones. And they basically asked her if she would be willing to be an asset for the FBI. Of course, I was like, why would the head of the Maryland PD be calling you to tell you to be an FBI asset? But again, people don't think about this, and they're like, an asset for the FBI? Well, yeah. And so basically they told her that a drug cartel, the Sinaloan cartel, was using her social security number to open bank accounts all over the place that they were going to probably use to launder money that came from murders and all kinds of stuff. And who knows? And then listen to this. They proceeded to contact her on the phone twice a day for 3 months. They called her every day. Now, they had this whole storyline about the Sinaloan cartel, the players. They were giving her the inside information from the FBI. Please don't tell anyone. We're to swear you to secrecy. Even just mentioning this to a family member or a friend could get you or our agents killed. I mean, you know how they do this, right? I mean, you've seen this. Well, the handler in this case said that he was Special Agent Wayne A. Jacobs. And she looked it up on the FBI site, and there was a person named Wayne A. Jacobs in the Washington field office. Wow, it's hard to find that info. They gave her a case number, probably CP9er 20416. And she said she looked up all these phone numbers, and the phone numbers they were using in their documents and stuff were real. Well, of course they were real. But they called every day at 9 a.m. and 1800, and they filled her in on all the steps they were currently taking. They gave her code words. The code word was beige. That was her favorite color. Your favorite color is beige. But and that way, if someone called, if they didn't know the code word, she'd know it was the cartel. Dun, dun, dun. So they said then, so I'm like, all this reading, I'm like, what's the hook? I see the lure. What's the hook? They told her they needed to protect her assets because the cartel was sort of getting wind of this. And they asked her to fill out a financial disclosure form that would let them know how much money she had and where it was, so that if the cartel got it, they could refund her. Okay. So she does it. They assigned her a government safety locker so that the cartel couldn't get her money, because they can get into anything, any bank, anywhere, they can get at it. And she needed to transfer all of her funds, everything she had, into this safety locker, or it was going to all get lost. So she transferred $595,000 into the government safety locker. It works. I mean, they know the angles that get people to get drawn in, and then they've got a way to make it seem legit. I mean, and we all think we wouldn't fall for something, but, there's a hook that'll get just about anyone except me. I don't have any money, so they leave me alone. I mean, when they ask for my bank balance and I go, well, I got $27 in my checking account, but there is a $50 overdraft fee outstanding, and I think I've got $13 in my savings account, but I do have a whole bag of unused Subway tokens that might be worth something someday. I mean, these things could be resold. They usually just hang up. But seriously, talk with all your people. I mean, your employees, your parents, your children, and talk to them about this stuff, because the more you know about it, the less likely you are to fall for it. And, if there's one litany you can hand out, is the minute someone asks you for money or information, that's the hook. Tell them, thanks, have a nice day, or ask them to give you money. but it's really time to get out unless you're a professional, in which case you can manipulate them and have some fun. But mostly it's time to get out. The story I linked is readable by anybody, so you can share it with whomever. Wintermute and Neuromancer are going to join us shortly. Yeah, a little dated reference, but surely you get those. Well, AI is now being seen as both the attacker and the defender in phishing scams. I mean, early on, just using Grammarly probably helped scammers a lot, right? Who are writing things like, Bob, my name, I want help. You give me money. I am FBI. Or Fibby, I am Fibby. And, you know, I mean, ChatGPT can write a pretty nice note explaining how my poor cat really needs surgery. And if they don't help, I'm going to have to sell her to the medical experiments lab. Yeah, ask ChatGPT for that. It'll produce a really nice piece of work. I mean, a survey of 179 security administrators and executives in North America was used, and they found that 15% of the respondents were early adopters of email-based AI or AI detection-based email security and automation. And 50% of the organizations said that they were planning to introduce AI and automation tools in their email security strategy very, very shortly. I don't know if that would catch those corrupted files we were talking about earlier, but maybe. So, you know, I mean, and I can see that. I mean, you know, this is expensive and, you know, having employees review emails, yeah, right, that's going to end badly. But I mean, maybe AI can detect itself. You know, my AI can beat up your AI. I mean, hi, Captain Jack. That's my evil AI. Can you write a phishing letter that links to catsmeetsmen.com to lure people there? Now, Namu, the goddess of the primordial sea, is my good AI. So I set Namu on Captain Jack and they're off, you know, just turn them loose and say, hey, use any resources you can find, especially those satellite receivers with built-in distributed denial of service. I mean, why not? Maybe Captain Jack hacks the reactor core at Chernobyl and Namu sends out the fire brigade and then drains Captain Jack's bank accounts and they're, boy, just back and forth every day. I feel a Netflix pitch coming on. Call me Netflix. I mean, I'm not Dan Harmon, but I'm pretty damn good. Come on. So, I mean, I think that scenario is probably emerging where my AIs are going to have to be better than your AIs, and they're all squaring off, and Dixie Flatline is taking on Captain Jack while Namu watches serenely and On watches over all. I think it's time for a Sumerian themed show, don't you? I mean, I think that could go somewhere. Call me Netflix. I'm ready, or anybody, just anybody at all. I need those fat stacks of cash for my Sumerian themed show idea. All right. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, is that a real EC? What is that? OECD. It sounds like one of those Chinese groups, right? No, it's a real thing, though. I think it's a real thing. Yeah. But according to them, generative AI will transform many jobs. Okay, we all knew that. But it will have the greatest impact in areas that have been least affected by past automation waves. Now, this was in their 2024 Job Creation and Local Economic Development Report. They really like long names. The JCLED, the JCLID. I can see this. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. Basically, what they're saying is that generative AI, unlike, say, a machine that could cut the head off a chicken, may replace somebody like, say, a programmer or even a doctor. Maybe. I mean, a mindless task is really easy, right? So you write the code for a robotic arm with a machete attached, and it's really easy to evaluate if it works or not. I mean, either the arm falls and the chicken gets its head cut off, or it doesn't. I mean, pretty straightforward, nice binary stuff. But the law, medicine, well, that's all a lot harder to evaluate effectiveness and efficacy and so forth. The latest report measured, and this measurement's really, really convoluted to me, but the latest report measured the impact by how much of a worker's tasks could become at least 50% faster through the use of generative AI. And the biggest industries they found that were going to be affected, according to the report, were education, ICT, and finance. And if you don't know what ICT is, because I actually didn't, I was like, what is ICT? It was information and communication technology. Okay, well, I know what that is. So, you know, hey, generative AI, can you crawl into the floor and find out where this cable got eaten by rats the size of a Jack Russell Terrier? I mean, I don't know about that. Maybe it could. I don't know. Maybe you get one of those robotic dogs from Boston Robotics and the thing just goes crawling under there and the rats are like, oh, damn, I'm out. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it might refuse though. Like, no, I'm sorry, Doug. I'm not going to go under the floor. That is your job now. I mean, I mean, they said these areas were expected to reach a point where 70% of the employees could have half their task done at least 50% faster with generative AI. That was their criteria. Kind of convoluted sounding, though. It sounds like a start of an SAT question, that one that you're going, I think I missed that one. How many AIs does Roberto have if 70% of Roberto's AI could do half of Roberto's tasks that are done 50% faster than Jane? I'm just going to mark C and hope for the best. Yeah, that's why I went to a state college. But I want to see the AI manage a room full of third graders. Like, all right, everybody sit down and stop touching each other. Like, don't lick him. No, that's wrong. We don't do that here. Should be interesting anyway. Could probably replace a lot of dusty old college professors, though. Good afternoon. This is my lecture on TCP/IP networking. Yeah, do you know the OSI model? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Zabbix put out a warning about critical severity vulnerability in the open source enterprise network monitoring solution, which could allow the attacker to inject arbitrary SQL queries, which could lead to all sorts of nastiness. I mean, just saying inject arbitrary SQL queries pretty much should, cause you to go, that sounds bad. The security defect exists in a function that is available to any user with a role that has API access. Okay, maybe that's not bad. Wait for it, though. So basically, a non-admin account with a default user role has API access. So pretty much, unless you've customized everything, you're done. Qualys said that the exploitation could allow privilege escalation and complete control over a vulnerable Zabbix server. Don't know what Zabbix is? Well, there's 83,000 of them exposed on the internet as of yesterday. Now, patches for this were issued back in July. So hopefully you patched if you're one of the 83,000, you're patched. But the advisory only came out this week, so maybe you didn't know about the patch. That's one of those kind of things. There is no report of exploit in the wild, according to the company at this point, but that's what they always say, right? But if you have Zabbix, you may want to check it out before you become the first case. And there's obviously quite a few of you, so you don't want to be that first reported case. Well, little did we know, if you buy him enough drinks, he'll start singing The Body of an American and crying in an alley. Or maybe that was me, actually. But either way, he is here today, and he is Josh Marpet. Hi, Josh.
Oh my God. Like $13 in your savings account, and you're not that smart. And let's be clear, everybody. He's a full professor and a PhD, so he's pretty damn smart, okay?
Right. I'm good at working the system and bribing people.
Well,
and giving
$13 in your savings account. Yeah, you're bribing people. But you got the sack of Subway tokens.
That's why I got $13. It's like I had to pay all these people off.
Dear God. All right. So I wanted to bring in an article that's heading close to our end of year. We're in the December, actually, and talking about where we're going. And I think this is really interesting because the article I brought in is really about what's going to happen. And a lot of the people that they talked to in terms of security and what's going on, they talked about what happened in 2024. And God knows we know about a lot of that. Was me, and I'm sorry. We talked about a lot of things going on in the world and how all the different vulns and breaches and everything else that happened. And it's not a good thing, okay? But there we go. I think I've turned off notifications now, so that should help. But we've talked a lot less about what's going to happen. And what we're going to see is a lot more SaaS supply chain style attacks. And the SaaS and supply chain style attacks are just, well, let's put it this way. It's going to be ungodly. They're using SaaS attacks where they realize they can exfiltrate data without doing privilege escalation, without doing remote code execution, without doing all the different things that they have to do. They get in, then lateral, then do this, then privilege escalate. The kill chain is very different now, okay? Let's be clear. Everything you've done as a security professional to lock down your company's data inside of your company is, well, not as worthwhile as you thought. And the reason is that because you've also helped the infrastructure and development groups create links from your database, from your website to your database, from your database to your backend systems, to where all they've got to do is get in through not just the website, but the APIs. Because God knows how many APIs now do you have connected up between you and partner firms through which that supply chain attack can come down? How many places do you have external connections? How many places do you have external connections that you don't have instrumented and aren't monitoring correctly? Because I bet you at most companies, it's a lot of them. So what we've got to do is understand that, at least according to this article, what they're saying is that zero trust is now table stakes. It's just that simple. If you have any connection leading from your company's data to external to your company, and it is not a monitored connection, it is not an encrypted, secure connection with an authentication and authorization barrier there, i.e. zero trust, that's what zero trust is, right? Okay, you're not doing it right. Now, I blame you specifically, just to be clear. No, I'm just kidding. The architects and the developers of your application, your system, your stuff, unless they have a style manual, unless they have a development manual, it says every external connection must be a secure encrypted API that's monitored, that has an authentication and authorization barrier. They're not going to build it that way. So if your company doesn't have that, that's a damn good place to start. But we've got to make sure that every connection is all of those things: safe, secure, monitored, instrumented, auth-in and auth-z barriers. Otherwise, we're toast. Because if we have those, any supply chain attack is going to have an instrumentation where at least we can say, oh, that's how the data got out. Oh, look, that's what data was taken. We don't have that. We don't even know what happens until God knows when, until the FBI knocks on the door and goes, hi, is this your data? We found it. It looks like your data. Is this? Oh, yeah, that's ours. Oh, did you know you lost it? No. No. Okay. The front page of the Wall Street Journal is calling. They'd like to get an interview. Those are the bad days, okay? So we're seeing that SaaS-based supply chain attacks have immediate access, and this is still using credential stuffing. This is still using business email compromise, phishing, all that kind of stuff. The simple stuff that doesn't require significant amounts of expertise. These are, at this point, skiddy-level attacks. All right? And when you have skiddy level attacks that are going to get to significantly serious and sensitive and confidential and restricted information fast, with no major coding necessary, with no CVSS 10 RCE privilege escalation necessary, that's a problem. That's a big friggin' problem. So we have to make sure that access to that data is locked down. Why do you have under-monitored, under-used APIs? Why do you have public access to anything other than the lunch menu and your press releases? Why do you have all of the different pieces of the modern kill chain? And actually, this is another piece. I really liked in this article how they differentiate between the pre-cloud kill chain, the sort of traditional kill chain that we're all used to and know and love, sort of love, and then the modern cloud-based SaaS kill chain, which has some small but subtle differences in how things are handled and how things are attacked. This is me feeling old for just a minute, but they said it's different from the traditional MITRE attack framework. And I went, the MITRE attack framework is traditional? It's only a few years old. Apparently that's now vintage. So MITRE, come on, man, up your game. I feel so fucking old right now, excuse me. But anyway, they're talking about things like very simple stuff, SIM swapping, phishing. We're used to this. If we're not protecting against this, what are we even doing? Okay? And using this to access SaaS environments and OAuth or API vulnerabilities, which are normally overprivileged and not looked at significantly well. Because look, let's be honest, identity is not fun. All right, IDPs, IAM, it's not fun. It's not easy. It's a massive amount of configuration toggle switches and privileges and permissions and Active Directory interactions. It's a mishmash of spaghetti coding, the likes of which haven't been seen since the last time Doug programmed a COBOL mainframe to do banking. Okay, let's be clear. So And I'm bitching at Doug. It's funny. But anyway, but in all seriousness, we have to take identity seriously. We have to take connections seriously. This is zero trust. We have to take all of the data access controls seriously. If we don't lock those three aspects down, we are going to lose. The attack surface has not just expanded in this new SaaS world, it has become simpler to access. And with that, we're basically going, hey, a skitty can get in, steal all of our intellectual property, and get out, and we'll never know. That's an unacceptable situation. So we have to up our game. What a surprise. It's a new year. It's time to up your game yet again. And the man who will up our game together, well, that's Doug. Doug, back to you.
Yeah, as I get relegated to COBOL, don't even say COBOL. Oh, I had contempt for COBOL programmers in the 80s, like, let alone, yeah. I will say I did COBOL support because, Y2K, and people were like, we'll pay any price for COBOL. I'm like, you'd have to, because, man, that you want to talk about the worst programming language ever existed is COBOL. Oh, my God, it's horrible. Thank you, Josh. But it was widely used. And finally, so I knew this person some time ago that had been retired and then got unretired because they were like, I'm rich, I'm retired. And then they weren't like a retirement age. They were like, they had so much money that they retired and then they unretired because all their money was not scammed away. Well, it was, but it wasn't a scam. It was a legitimate business called Enron, which was a scam. So Enron, if you never heard of this, Enron was this major league company in Houston, Texas. I mean, it was huge. It was like they claimed they had over $100 billion in revenue. And, they basically told their employees, look, we're going to pay you outrageous wages. We want you to reinvest all these wages in the company and take shares of stock, because why would you do anything else? You'd have to be insane to put your money in T-bills when you could earn crazy returns right here at home with us. Come back to Simple Rick right here in Houston. But look, so my friend did that. I mean, my friend was like, I have all this money, I've made over the years. I've worked here for 20 years. I've got tons of money. It's all invested in this and it's going up like crazy. The share price is going up like crazy. Well, guess what? Ken Lay, the CEO, basically a sleaze. The whole thing is a scam. Died awaiting sentencing. The president of the company, Jeff Skilling, went to prison. Of course, they didn't get real prison, right? They got white collar prison. So it's like, you got 12 years at minimum security where you play ping pong all day and watch movies and write scripts and stuff. Because I have some friends that were in minimum security. And that was what they did. They were like, all I did was lift weights, watch movies, and write scripts. I'm like, cool. The CFO, prison. And Arthur Anderson, not a person, mind you. It may have been a person. I don't know if Arthur Anderson was like, Mr. Anderson founded this company. Arthur Anderson was like one of the biggest, fanciest, richest consulting firms on earth. I mean, you met people and they were like, I'm from Arthur Anderson. You were like, wow, is that a $5,000 suit you're wearing? Like, yeah, this is my cheap clothes. I mean, Arthur Anderson was like the most expensive consulting firm around. Guess what? Enron took them down. They went too. So no more Arthur Anderson. Everybody was out on, you go out on 8th Avenue and there's guys going, I got suits for sale. It's a $6,000 suit for, I don't know, $60. We'll take any price. Make me an offer. Yeah, well, I mean, I know this is not Security History Weekly. So you're probably wondering why I brought this up. Well, just this week, some nebulous or nefarious or possibly both entity using the website domain enron.com went live on Monday as, quote, a company dedicated to solving the global energy crisis. This already sounds like a scam, right? They also said, quote, we're back. Can we talk? I'm like, about what? About my money? It wasn't my money. I'm not even just like projecting it. It actually wasn't me. I had no money in Enron, but my friend is going like, talk. I'll talk with a ball bat. So what exactly are they doing? It wasn't clear. Solving the global energy crisis. Yeah, of course. That sounds reasonable. But apparently what they're doing is creating a token or crypto coin which will support energy sustainability. because crypto and energy sustainability just go hand in hand, right? Okay, guys, we're going to need 92,000 video cards and a nuclear reactor. Fire that baby up. Maybe 2, maybe 3. Or burn coal. I don't know. We got to support our crypto mining. But I don't know what they're doing. But maybe it's just unfortunate naming. Like, I used to be a member of this thing called ISIS. It was very unfortunately named. Well, they had to name first, mind you. Not before the goddess Isis, the Egyptian god, but before all those other guys were that. But they later changed their name. Or I don't know, maybe it was a bunch of tech professors are fighting holy wars or something, but I'm not involved in it now. So, but maybe it's not Enron. But I tell you what, if Enron starts trying to sell you crypto, I think I would avoid it, even if it's just a name. They're willing to use the name Enron for any purpose at all, and I'm like, no, thank you. You can keep your crypto. Yeah. I'll leave that to you. I know I'm missing out. I'm sorry. I always miss out. Anyway, that's the news. Thanks, Josh. And I will see you next time on the Security Weekly News. It's good to be back.